All right, everybody, welcome to the second episode of the Expedition 1 podcast. Today I have my good friend Tyler Quin on. Tyler is been in the competitive rock crawling world for many, many years, a competitive off-road world. He is a Jeep enthusiast and off-road enthusiast, has been since he was a young man. He's still a nice young man.
That was a long time ago.
But yeah, so... but he's on our show today, and we're going to be talking about a lot of fun subjects. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having me here. It's always an honor to hang out with friends and be part of this, so thank you.
Thanks for driving all the way up.
Not bad. I do it all the time.
Yeah, yes, you do. So a little background on Tyler is Tyler does real estate right now, right?
I do.
All sorts of different real estate ventures, everything like that. But he also has been, and I'm sure he will be if anyone asks him, a competitive rock crawler. Mostly co-driving, mostly spotting, mostly assisting.
Yep.
But have you driven
I
in
did.
many competitions?
I did. Yeah, when I was with Clay Egan for most, in fact, all my career except for one race in King of the Hammers with Sexton Off-Road, but with Clay Egan at Clay Egan Racing. I was, co-drove with him for a long time in King of the Hammers, and so yeah, I'd do it again if it comes about. I've just been too busy and had kids, and so just been enjoying that.
Life's been happening.
Yes.
Yeah. How is Clay?
He's doing great. I
he?
actually talked to him on the way up here, checking on him. He's doing good, still doing really well. If anybody knows Clay, he's a quadriplegic, paralyzed from the chest down. Very competitive rock crawler, rock racer. We did U-Rock. We did King of the Hammers. We actually finished King of the Hammers in 2009 in a buggy that we took down to Johnson Valley with no motor in it from here. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was quite an adventure. We had a lot of help and got it done, but we still finished the race.
That actually means quite a bit just to finish that race. If people haven't watched that or seen that.
Usually about a third of all competitors that sign up, they're the only ones. So about a third finish.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people that have raced it every year and have still never finished. So we got lucky. We were actually in sixth place up till about mile marker 62, and then we rolled. And so I had to do basically all of it myself because Clay can't do too much.
He can tell you what to do, basically.
Yeah.
He can yell at you. Hurry up.
But we ended up getting it done, got the buggy back over, and finished. And at 33rd, I think it was 33rd, and had a blast. And so we finished it. So still have the trophy. I just moved into a new house, and I already have it hanging on the wall that we finished the race.
Nice. That's very cool.
So,
nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Another thing about, to all the folks out there that are listening or watching, another thing about Tyler here is that Tyler and I and people at Expedition 1 have built several Jeeps together for SEMA. He's always a good hand for helping out, particularly when SEMA comes around. SEMA's always this mad rush, right?
Yep.
And it gets pretty crazy. We built a couple of his Jeeps, I think, for SEMA, and just a couple of our own Jeeps for SEMA, and it's been pretty crazy. So,
yeah, the product's great. I love everything you guys do, so that's why I keep coming back, because of the strength and how it works, and it holds up, and that's what's important to me.
Thanks for saying that. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Happy customer. That's
Very.
What we like. Okay. So let's talk real quick about just the reality of, because we talked about it on our last podcast. I don't think we hit on it very hard, but we want to talk about the reality of the scarcity that's going on as a result of COVID. Kind of like what is really going on. From our end, what we're seeing in the industry right now, we're seeing materials prices of steel have effectively doubled since probably, I'd say, November. It was really strange. All of a sudden in December, we got contact and we're saying, hey, there's going to be a price increase. And we thought it was pretty high. It was like 10 cents a pound, which when you're dealing with steel, 10 cents a pound, 10 cents a pound, right? So they're telling us that, and we're like, oh, okay, that's pretty significant. But within a couple weeks, it went up another 10 cents and then another 10 cents, and it's been getting crazy. So we're having material suppliers that are telling us they're limiting our supply points. Basically, they're saying we're only being allocated a certain amount of materials. So allocation has started. We've been able to get material still, right? Because we have tons of suppliers, and so we're in good shape. But I think it's like with steel, I think you're going to start seeing like the same thing that we saw with toilet paper. You know what I mean? Like one of our suppliers, we talked with them, they're like, sorry, we're not going to have anything till mid-April.
Yeah.
And so you're talking 3 weeks. They're not going to have any materials to work off of. So that's pretty significant.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think so that's our standpoint on the material side. But I mean, just the effects of COVID that we've seen, just in general. I'm seeing like on Facebook groups. Do you do a Facebook very much?
I check it because I actually sell stuff from it. So,
okay.
but I'm not really a big.
You're not a big Facebooker, kind of guy. Good for you.
I just, but there's other
that
stuff.
sounds so nice.
I should do Twitter. I don't. I'm too busy with real estate and everything else, and family and everything else. I have a hard time keep doing it. I'd rather pay someone to do it, but I don't even do that.
It'd be very nice, wouldn't it? Just
so
being
nice.
able to pay somebody. Yeah, with Facebook, I'm just bringing that up just because I'm seeing these Facebook groups. I'm seeing people that are talking about our competitors. They're concerned about the lead times that our competitors have.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like everybody is out weeks and weeks and weeks. It's just the nature of the beast. Months in certain cases, you know what I mean? So I'm just wanting to hit it home just how COVID has affected that reality. Because everyone's trying to produce stuff. We're trying to produce stuff as fast as we can. But we've had job listings for months now.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to get people in, having problems with that, getting employees or getting ourselves the right people and skilled labor and stuff like that. If we want to go automation, when we go the automation route, we go, okay, well, maybe we can automate this position, right? Because we can't fill it. Look into automation, and it's the same thing. It's a 12 to 15 week lead time,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. So it's been pretty wild, man.
Yeah.
It's been pretty difficult, and it's across the board.
It is, and I mean, switch gears a little bit if you don't mind going into a little bit of real estate, because I mean that's my background. I do a lot of it, and I'm very fortunate in that. But we're dealing with the same sort of stuff in real estate right now. We're all-time low of listings. In Utah and Salt Lake MLS, you'd normally have about 12,000 listings on an average. There's 1,700 right now, and that's anything you can buy, from a mobile home, townhome, whatever. So that's why there's such a frenzy on our end. And then you've got all these other states trying to move here: California, Texas, Chicago. I mean, and so you've got those people because they want to be out of the California. A lot of people just want to get out of California. You've got people in New York that want just more space, and so they're coming out here and they're just paying cash for stuff, and so it's raising prices. The average sales price in Utah now is $400,000.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
I mean,
what was it a year ago? Just if you know off the top of your head.
In 2007, when the market crashed there, the average sales price was $285,000, and then it went up to $300, and then it went $350, and now we're at $400. Average sales price. Most young people can't afford a $400,000 house.
No.
And so, and the other thing is everybody's buying now. You got the millennials that are all now buying, and so it's really, and then with going back to what you said about your steel, the home builders are dealing with the same thing. They can't build them fast enough. All their prices have gone up about 45%, from what I understand, on a building, on a house. So a house is going to cost you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 more to build a house than the same house would have been last year or 2 years ago.
In just a year.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And so it's all, so everything is just that way, and it's multiple offers. I mean, you'll do a $400,000 house in Salt Lake, and not kidding, you'll have 19 offers on it.
Wow.
And they start waiving this and waiving appraisals and so, and then you have to go through all of them and say, okay, which one's the best and who's realistic? I mean, because everybody's doing everything you can to get it. So some people will fib on it, and so you really have to look at your offers and call the banks and and then you turn in and you get so many cash offers.
Wow.
And cash is king. I mean,
right.
To waive appraisal and it's done, and they're closing 2 weeks and it's over, which also takes a lot of people out of the market because they can't compete.
Yeah.
Dang.
So same sort of stuff that you guys are dealing with here. I think across the board with COVID's done that people are being home, so they want more space. If they want to build their stuff up, then they're going to do it. So everybody's doing it. So unfortunately in Salt Lake, I mean, you guys know, we're only about 3%. We're back to 3% unemployment. We're pretty close to that again. I mean, I haven't seen it lately, but I know we were getting pretty close back to that. So again, our job market here is still very strong.
Yeah. Everywhere I go, hiring signs. We're hiring everywhere.
Everywhere
Fast
in Utah.
food, manufacturing, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to sign up pretty much. I've seen delays on the shipping side of things too, shipping and freight, between like the wacky weather, the different like hubs closing all over the place. But we've had a shipment of, jerry cans on our dock for weeks and weeks and weeks because of these boats that are being backed up out with the containers, just like for 2 weeks
Stuck
out there
in the channel.
waiting not that one, but
they figured that was 400 million a day.
Oh,
That's being lost?
That's being lost because of that one boat.
That's
I saw something on Facebook, it was some astronomical amount because that channel is used so much. So
yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I can only imagine. No.
It's crazy to me how big that boat really is. You know what I mean? Like when you see a picture of it, it's like, oh, it's a pretty good sized boat. You're thinking it's a standard tanker, but then you see that like picture where they've kind of dug out the front of it with that little backhoe. I mean, which is that's a big backhoe. And it just looks tiny.
Well, they were saying on the news that if they brought someone in to start off containing some of those are 10 and 15 stories high to get those containers off. So they don't know how they could get them off if they even brought another boat in to try and take some off.
I don't think you could. I think you would have to helicopter them off.
Yeah.
And like how many trips would you be taking with a helicopter just to like, let's raise this thing like a foot. You know what I mean? It'd be freaking insane.
So.
Holy cow. Yeah, no, fortunately that's not our scenario that we're dealing with, because I have boats waiting out in LA and whatever for weeks to be able to get into port just because they've been shut down.
Yeah.
Just delays upon delays, that domino effect again that we see. So it's kind of across the board, materials and freight and everything.
But overall, are you guys doing well? I mean, are you like everybody else that you just can't keep up?
We just can't keep up.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're doing the best we can. The interesting thing is like right now, like there's certain stuff that we literally have in stock.
Yeah.
There's product that is sitting out there. It's in stock. If you ordered it, it would be just because we have so much going through shipping right now. It might be 2 or 3 days before it goes out. But I mean, it would go right in the flow and go out. We have some bumpers that, like for example, I've like, if you bought a Bear 05 Tacoma bumper, right? It'd probably be maybe a week in getting prepped and ready to go, and it would be out the door. Versus, if you then said, well, I want it powder coated and I want a bull bar, and we're adding a bunch of stuff to it, all of a sudden that's going to add like 4 to 6 weeks to the lead time. And part of that is just, it's just getting it through those processes, because there's so many things in those processes. And there's so much delay in those processes. So.
Right. And any of our dual rears are definitely back ordered. There's so many parts and components that go into those as well, on the hardware side, that it's tricky to make sure you have everything you need on those in place, because we source a lot of different parts from a lot of different places to make those come together.
So we've had some of the issues with scarcity with suppliers, but we've also, there's also been price increases, and we usually try and hold price increases off as long as we can. And it's hard to say what's going on right now with the materials prices and everything like that. Is this going to be long term, or is it going to be short term? I think it's going to correct probably third quarter, but I don't think it's going to be like a major correction.
Right.
So, and we've already been getting lots of price increases from our suppliers, so we'll probably end up having to do our own price increase, but we're going to hold it off as long as we can.
No,
hopefully.
I think everybody's in the same boat. I think third quarter things are going to change. And on my end, Freddie and Fannie Mae are changing guidelines for second homes and investment properties, and so everybody's trying to correct it on that kind of stuff. And so I think we're all in the same boat, trying to figure stuff out. And so they're going to bump interest rates on those loans, and so it's like that's upset a lot of people, but I also understand why they're doing it. Same thing, you're going to have to figure stuff out. Yeah,
something's got to happen. Speaking of which, actually not, but have you got your COVID vaccine?
I don't. I actually have my appointment.
You have your appointment?
I do.
We got our appointment.
I've been trying to get in sooner, mainly for my son. He's got some pretty good asthma. And so, but I've been working through this constantly. I took a month and a half off last year when it all hit and they closed everything down, because my wife works, and she needed to work. She has the benefit. She has taken care of stuff. So I stayed home and just, helped with the kids, tried to figure that out, which was joke.
Homeschooling.
I'm not a good
Yeah.
teacher, and I'm not a good I'm not a good student, but I mean, we figured it out. But anyways, and so for that reason, you know, we'll get ours. I want to make sure he's safe and stuff. But I've been working. I mean, last year I had been busier than I'd ever been in my life, and it has not changed right now for me. So I've been out in it, you know, a year, solid, out in it, working, showing houses, selling houses.
Haven't got it that you know of?
I think I had it, but I don't know. I mean, because I'm one, if I get sick, I work. Unless I have like strep throat or something really bad, I just work. I just have always been that way. So I think I've had it, but I don't know. And so, but yeah, shot's coming. Wanted it sooner. It's like in 2 weeks, but it's as soon as we could get in.
Yeah.
I've been looking every day because there's so many places, if they have extra, you can go do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been looking, but and my wife will get it and kind of go from there. My dad's got both of his. My wife, all her family's got theirs, which is good. So
Yeah.
that's more important than anything.
My parents have got themselves taken care of, so which is good. They're in their 70s.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
I mean, that's the real high risk people, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those where I mean, my dad, he's 78. He's in okay health, but he had all sorts of health problems happen where he got really sick, had to have a lot of surgeries and stuff like that. And I mean, like, he got all his taken care of and then had surgery like a couple days later and everything like that. And he's been fine.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Good.
It's really, you hear these horror stories about somebody having a bad reaction, but I think you would hear those same things with the flu shot, I think, if we were
I
giving
agree.
flu shots, if that was a point of topic, right? If it wasn't a point of interest, you would never hear about it. But
Well, and Shayna's father-in-law, her mom's husband, he can't have the flu shot because he's it'll hospitalize him.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And so he has to be careful. So they don't know if they're going to give him the COVID because they don't know how he'll react to it.
Yeah.
And he's
Dang.
older. I mean, I'm guessing 75. I don't know exactly, but I mean, so they don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So-
I think the COVID shot, I literally, I mean, I think I'm very excited for as many people as possible getting vaccinated. Because, I mean, I think it will be the key to literally getting rid of the pandemic. And it's weird to me that people that are like, oh, they're a little worried about it and stuff like that. But in some of these vaccines, the Johnson & Johnson one that I learned about, I think it's a little weird personally. Just
The
the
one shot?
science. Yeah,
Yeah.
the science behind it. I'm like, I'm not really into that. I think the Pfizer one, particularly, the simplicity of it is really quite elegant, the idea behind it. And its efficacy is amazing. So that's the one that I'm hoping we'll end up getting.
That's what I'm hoping to.
So, yeah. So, and then hopefully we'll be able to get the pandemic behind us, because I can tell you, that's the other thing about all these scarcity and stuff like that. I think it's like people just aren't, they're putting so much time into sitting on, they're staying at home, they're watching TV or, you know, on the internet and stuff like that. They're buying stuff. And where our time used to be spent going out to restaurants, going to movies and stuff like that, concerts.
That's changing. You should see, because I eat out a lot for what I do. And in the last 3 weeks, you would not believe how many people are showing up at
Oh
restaurants
yeah,
now.
no, yeah.
Traffic has already changed. At least I know you're
At least around here.
You're up in North.
Yeah.
And I'm in Salt Lake, and the traffic's already starting. You can see in the last 3 weeks, you can see a huge difference in restaurants. And, you know, one of my favorite restaurants I go to all the time is Porcupine Grill at the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon. And they did like everybody else, separated tables, all that stuff. Well, you know, they're starting to put more tables in, and it's always packed for lunch, and it's finally starting to get that weekend, which I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
You know, these restaurants need to open back up.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I
I'm
don't
happy
know.
about that.
Utah didn't have that many restaurants that really, I mean, I know there are a few restaurants that I saw that they went out, right? But it seemed like most of the ones that I frequent and stuff like that are still there.
Most of them, I know of a couple,
You know?
but yeah, most of them stayed, but it just was tough. And, you know, I saw a lot of people put the tents up so they can get more space. Park City, it was funny. They bought bubbles, and people could eat bubbles.
I don't understand that.
But I mean, they were making it work. You know, but you know, they're trying to make things work, and so I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad these places stayed, because I'm not a big eat out chain places, so we like the one-off local stuff, and so I'm glad to see a lot of those places staying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, that is a
That's
good
good.
thing.
That
Hopefully
is a
we'll
good
be
thing.
good there.
Yep.
Let's go back on topic to where we should be, which is let's talk about off-road vehicles. I was actually going to ask you about because this is a crazy component. We were talking about prices going up and everything, all these things being in very high demand. The TRX, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing stories and I'm seeing stories of those things going for 50,000 over.
One just sold
Sticker.
at Barrett Jackson last night for 400 and something.
Yeah, it was one, right?
Yeah,
it was
I think it was
001.
001.
Yeah.
And my friend up at Carl Malone has one. Up at Carl Malone, Jeep in Heber has one.
Does he?
Uh-huh.
For sale, or is
No,
he just
he
it's
can't-
his?
It's his. He can't. He can't sell it, but I haven't seen it yet. I want to go see it. But yeah,
When those came up for order last summer,
Mhm.
I was like, I hesitated, and I didn't order one, and I'm regretting it.
well, it's like I had the new Wrangler, the 392.
Yeah.
I called and said I want one, and I was number one. He called me, and I couldn't do it at the time because they didn't even have a price on it, and I could have had one of the first ones in the state, and I didn't do it.
Did I talk you out of
Well,
that?
you talked me
that
out of
was my
that.
fault.
Oh,
No,
man.
I called because regular Jeeps do everything we want them to do. And,
Yeah.
This is true.
And I love the 6-cylinder motor and that Pinstar motor they put in them. Big fan. I'm more of a Jeep guy than a Toyota guy.
Yeah, we established that. Yeah.
And so, I really like that Pinstar, and it wasn't worth that extra money when I could buy a used Wrangler 18 or newer, or even a new one for 30,000-40,000 less.
Yeah. What are they basing at? It's like 70 grand.
It's
isn't
like
it?
76 is the one I saw.
Wow. Yeah.
But I mean, it's between that and a. I mean, there's always the little stuff about them, but between that and a loaded Rubicon, it's the motor.
Yeah.
Well, the 6-cylinders can get the same places as the 392. The 392s just get there faster.
A little bit faster.
So, I'm a big fan. I do like one thing. I'm really happy they did is they brought the half doors back, factory,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
You're a half door man.
I am. Because I don't drive it in the winter. It's my toy. It sits in the garage in the winter, and everybody laughs at me. But it's a Jeep's the top's off, doors off, and
So, yeah,
that's
it's
what
all
it's
about.
for. And
Yeah.
so I love the half doors.
Yeah.
On that last one I had, I actually bought factory ones, and they weren't cheap, and loved every minute of it. It was worth every
Was
dime
that
to
that
me.
blue one?
The blue one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was worth every dime to me. But it was great.
Dude, those became like the coveted item too.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Jeep said they weren't going to do it anymore, and like people lost their minds.
Yeah,
It's like, what?
I sold them for a lot of money.
Really?
Because I didn't sell them when I sold my blue Jeep. I kept them in case I bought another one.
Yeah.
And the only reason I kept them is when the JL came out, I was hoping they would still fit, and they
But,
didn't.
yeah.
Mhm.
So then I sold them.
Yeah.
I still got almost what I built them for out of them.
Wow.
So
Hmm.
yeah,
It's
they
pretty
were
wild.
Yeah. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
So let's talk. We're talking that. Let's talk on Broncos real quick.
Can't wait to see it.
You excited for it?
I'm way excited.
You don't have one on order.
I don't have
right?
one on order. Yeah, I'm not a first time come out. I want to see what happens and that kind of stuff. I did that with the JL. I ordered the JL because
Yeah.
I knew it would be decent, and they didn't change that much except for the transmissions, a couple things. But I want to see how the Bronco comes out. I think they've done some really cool things. Things that really made me happy is you can take the doors off of it easily. It seems,
Mhm.
which I mean, if you're going to compete with the Jeep, it needs to happen. Again, and I also like. I watched a video on how the top comes off. One person can take that top off.
Really?
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that I thought was pretty cool. And you can actually pack it all in the back. I mean, they've done a good job with it. And so I'm real excited to see how it's all going to turn out.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. I've
Um,
got one on order. Speaking of, that's the other thing too, is like I was supposed to, if people don't have one of those on order, this is another thing with the scarcity reality is like, I ordered mine and they gave me a rough finish and build date
Mhm.
sometime in like March, right? Well, it's March, right? We're at the end of March. Now,
August.
you're talking, yeah, July,
Really?
August. Yeah. That's the maybe is
Mhm.
July, August. And, they're saying a lot more people are going to have 2022 models than they anticipated before.
Mm-hmm.
So, I read another thing too, that Chevy's having trouble building their trucks because they can't get it's a microchip. There's a
Really?
chip
Yeah.
for their CPUs.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I know there was a problem a while ago with that too, before COVID, that same sort of thing. So
It's making it all the worse.
So
Yeah.
we're just going to see what's happened. I can't wait to see the Bronco though.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job.
The pictures I've seen of it, people that have kind of got pictures of the pre-production, I mean, I'm really impressed. I think they did it right. I had heard that what they did was that they studied why the FJ Cruiser failed.
I can tell you.
Well,
They didn't make it a convertible.
yeah, that was it, right?
Seriously.
That was their big mistake.
The FJ should have been a convertible.
It should have been.
And no, if they would have done that, even if the hard doors, nothing else, if they would have made it so that top came off,
Yeah.
it would have just, because
Yeah.
that's what those were about.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter what motor, didn't matter independent front suspension, because people had a problem with that in the beginning,
Mhm.
but none of that matters.
Yeah. No, IFS has been dialed, man.
Yeah.
Ford did a great job at getting it dialed. Toyota's actually doing a great job.
Mhm.
I think, before, IFS was everyone was kind of afraid of it.
Mhm.
And now you look in the competition rock crawling world, or I don't even know if they call it that anymore.
Now
Whatever.
it's
Ultra 4
It's
is
Ultra 4. It's
effectively,
4400 series. Yeah.
I mean, that is a totally, there are guys that are running solid axle through there, but so many of them are running independent front.
And
you know.
rear.
And rear too.
Yeah, you've got laser nut. Cody Wagner's got a full all four.
Does he really?
Mhm. Yeah, great looking buggy too. But yeah, his is 4-wheel independent.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just a matter of the technology had to get there. And it's weird in the off-road world. It's like when you're talking with suspension, it's really a lot of, in my opinion, it's kind of a lot of trial and error. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's just a whole lot of trial and error. And then everyone's kind of looking at what works and they're like, oh, that works, right? Whether it's desert racing
Mhm.
or whether it's rock crawling, it's kind of like, oh, look, that's working. And you have all these weird little fads. I remember way back when it was kind of a fad where people were doing shocks with no coils, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just like
2.5 inch. That's what we ran King
Yeah.
hammers in.
Is it really?
Because we couldn't afford to do it. We had no coils, and it was just
No coils?
No coils, and we finished. Yeah.
And what I hear is when you're rallying those kind of vehicles, like they lift up anyway because the oils get super warm and so after you get going, they actually ride a little bit better.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, so it's kind of crazy. I don't see anybody running that anymore.
No.
That's not really a thing. That was a brief thing. But so let's talk more about rock crawling and stuff like on a historical level. Okay.
Mhm.
So we went through this a little bit. U-Rock is when you started.
I did. Yep.
Now, how long ago is this? We're talking like
90. Let's see. I moved back from Arizona in 04.
was it 2004?
2004 is when I
Seems about
came
right.
back. And so-
Before that, it was ARCA, right?
Right, and I didn't know much about ARCA. I know a lot of the guys that went to U-Rock were with ARCA.
Right.
But no, I started. That's when Clay did it, and Patey's who owned it, and the Patey's actually got Clay into it, and that's kind of how it all started with a photo shoot with Clay and Walker Evans.
Really?
And that's kind of how it all started, and then Clay had done a couple, and then I came back. When I came back, I actually moved in with him because I hadn't bought a house yet, and it just kind of morphed from there. And we've been friends since 8th grade, so even before he was in the wheelchair, I was friends with him. And so, it's been quite a ride. TV shows and commercials and all sorts of stuff. He just did such a good job with his marketing, and we really, we used his chair as a way to get it done, and people really appreciated it. So.
Now, if I remember the crawler that you guys started with, was it based on a Cherokee chassis?
Yep,
That's what it was, right?
It actually was the Patey's and sold it to Clay, and that was the
Really?
first rock on it. And it was a Cherokee, the old 4.0. He just sold that.
Did he really?
About a year ago.
No kidding.
Still runs. Didn't ever change the motor in it. It still would get in there and it would start. That 4.0 motor is bulletproof, but yeah, even after all the times we rolled it, ran it, everything we did, that Cherokee still would start right up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. With the same motor.
Same motor.
4.0 liter.
Yep.
Wow. Did he go through other race trucks? I mean, I remember that one. I remember it because it had like diamond plate all over it, and it was in the what commercial were you guys doing? The Tough Shed.
The Tough Shed commercial.
Tough Shed commercials.
Went up there, parked on top, and then crashed into the tin shed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. That was fun. You know, they were kind of freaking out when we were coming off, and they tried to make us put hay underneath the thing. I'm like, nothing's gonna happen to him. It's just, I'm like, if it rolls, it rolls. I mean, we used to deal with that all the time because everybody was worried about him. I'm like, he can't get paralyzed. What does it matter?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I would tease him and he'd get right back. But I mean, it's the truth. So we did a lot of that stuff. But yeah, so we had that, and then we got Rock Logic.
Right. Oh man, what was his going name? Way back in the day, huh? Forgot about those
guys.
The
builder was Jeremy, and the owner, I can't remember the owner's name, but he was such a good guy. Built us a buggy. We put a Chevy 4.3 in it for the rock crawler, and built that. You know, and we were fortunate. We had a lot of sponsors, Toyo and Mastercraft seats, and Raceline wheels, and I'm missing one. Kelly at lifts.
You're talking Tough Country?
Tough Country helped us out quite a bit. I mean, they were always good to us. We had a lot of people that helped us out so Clay could move forward. So we did that, and then ran that for a couple years. Ran a couple of the We Rock races, which is where before it turned into Ultra 4 and King of the Hammers and all that. We ran that, and then when we were going to do King of the Hammers, a friend of ours, Jessie Combs.
Right.
If everybody knows who Jessie, fastest woman in the world, passed away a couple years ago. She actually is good friends with Clay and myself, and she helped us with Wyotech, helped us build our King of the Hammers buggy along with all of our sponsors.
Oh, wow.
And so that's kind of how our King of the Hammers buggy got going. And so then went down there and had a whole crew of people helping us and made it work. But we left here with no motor. We couldn't figure out what was wrong and why it wouldn't run. So we went down there and had no motor, went straight from Johnson Valley to Turnkey Motors down in San Diego. They dialed the motor, figured out what was wrong. We were at their shop, put the motor in at their shop. They dynoed it for us right then and there.
Nice.
After we got it running.
Wow.
And then we went
and then you went and raced.
And then went and raced and finished.
Wow.
So
that's pretty crazy. Does he still have that buggy?
No, we sold it. He sold it because he wished he would have kept it, but he ended up selling that, and he kept the Rock Logic buggy for a long time, and then sold it. And then he just had the Cherokee for a long time, and he just sold that about a year ago, ish, 2 years in that time. So
he's quasi retired.
He's done. Yeah,
he started getting beat up.
And it's hard, especially with him. I mean,
probably tosses him all over the place, man.
It does.
You know what I mean?
Since he has no stomach muscles and that kind of stuff. I mean, recovery from King of the Hammers, it was about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Just trying to get recovered. But I mean, if anybody knows Clay, he's a big hunter. I mean, which is interesting. Oh yeah, itself, and he's got moose. And I mean, when he went and got his cougar, he was on a snowmobile for, 4 hours.
Jeez.
At getting his cougar, and he was in the hospital for 2 days after that, 2 or 3 days after that, just recovering from going cougar. But
wild.
But he's got big trophy elk and geese, and I mean, you should see all the trophies. He just got his bear last year, his black bear last year.
Wow.
And so, but he does them all himself. With being in a chair, he can actually hunt from his car. And then he has a small razor that he goes around to. He has his own some property that he has up by Oakley that he has a cabin at and stuff. So I mean, he does great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very independent. Never help him.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. People are like, let me help you, and I just say, just leave him alone.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, leave him alone. If he wants help, he'll ask.
Gotta have him on the show. So
okay,
we'll see if we can get him on.
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be awesome.
Because he's always every time I talk with him, he's extremely, which is like maybe once a year, maybe. But that's when he was coming to most of the events I'd see him. But always very enthusiastic, right? It's pretty impressive to me, somebody that goes through that kind of thing, that they consider it. It seems like, if I recall, he almost considers it like a blessing or something like that.
It was
which
a
is
blessing.
just, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
That takes a really amazing mindset to have that. So
yeah, he even says he would not have done what he did if he was walking. All of the racing, all of the TV shows, all of the Nitro Circus. He did Nitro. We did Nitro Circus with Travis Pastrana in this first season, and again, all of these things he knows wouldn't be if it wasn't for him being on a motorcycle and hitting a horse up in Camas.
That's what happened?
That's what happened. So,
wow.
So then, but I mean, it was a long recovery, hospital for 3 months. And, you know, when you have him on the show, you can ask him the questions.
Yeah.
I probably know as well as he does, but still. But yeah, and he's still doing great. You know, he's just moving along, working and doing great.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have people like that around. You know what I mean?
Keeps you humble.
Yeah, it does. Keeps you thinking positive, right? Good examples of who you want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With this positivity. So.
Well, and it's interesting because Easter's coming up and the Easter Jeep Safari, and we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier before we started the show, and you know, they're opening it up again, which is nice. I know some friends, Bart Jacobs, some friends of ours, they just ran the first weekend Hell's Revenge. I saw that, so the trails are open a little bit. So we got some rock crawling. You know, a lot of people are doing Sand Hollow now.
Yeah, which is interesting. Let's talk about that a little bit, because Sand Hollow, it's just getting a bigger and bigger and bigger name.
It's awesome.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people are moving towards there. It's kind of interesting. I mean, Moab was always the place. I have a special place in my heart for the Moab area, particularly up in Poison Spider Mesa area. Like, I feel like I kind of grew up on that mesa.
Yep.
A lot of my off-roading was up there. Going through Poison Spider was just a fun trail, and Golden Spike, and just even on foot, just exploring that region. I did a lot of it.
Yep.
But you have so much movement towards Sand Hollow. And I've only been down there once, right? But it just seems like it's a huge area of growth.
Well, it's interesting. Again, back to real estate is I didn't know much about it. I go to St. George a lot to see my dad, but a good friend of mine says, hey, I need a house in Sand Hollow. So I can, because I'm licensed in Utah, I can sell anywhere. So I went down there, and there's 3 main areas down there in Sand Hollow that people stay at. So you got the dunes, the retreat, and then Dixie Springs. And the retreats where you get your nightly rental houses that you can rent, where a lot of people do, the dunes. So I've really focused on these 3 areas. And in the last 3 months, I've sold 3 houses down there to friends that want to be in Sand Hollow, which, again, people are going down there for razoring, for, you know, because a lot of people off-road are turning to razors. We can get back into that in a second. Yeah. But Sand Hollow's got so much to offer, because not only can you go do the sand, you can go out. There's great rock crawling down there. I mean, phenomenal rock crawling. If you have a boat, you're right next to the reservoir. And then mountain biking, you know, like I'm a huge mountain biker. There's trails everywhere down there. So you have so much to do down there. And, you know, Moab's fantastic. I'm with you. But you're still stuck right there. Yeah. Sand Hollow. If you want to go to Mesquite, you want to go to Vegas, you want to go into St. George, you want to go to Costco. I mean, right? But I mean, it's really what people are saying down there. Yeah. And so there's just a lot to offer, and that's why I think a lot of people are pushing down there. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the growth is over time. I mean, it's just Moab. You have also a lot of conflicts with just different locals there. A lot of the people that are moving in there are not big on the off-road community or the four-wheel drive community. So I always wonder what's going to happen with the interesting conflict and everything like that. Whereas Sand Hollow is kind of like, or just down in that area regionally, you know what I mean? It's just like, they're like, come on in. They are. And you go into that one little area called Dixie Springs, and all the houses there are, I don't want to say all, a good majority of them have RV garages and have. Oh, wow. So, I mean, there's one down there that had like a double-decker RV garage. So you have your 3-car garage here, and right next to it is, you could put 2 or 3 motorhomes in this. Really? Wow. Yeah. And relatively cheap. Now, for them, they're saying it's all expensive. Right. But you say you get up to Salt Lake on a lot, and a lot up here is going to cost you $400,000. Down there, you're $150 to $180. Wow. Holy cow. Still, even. Yeah. Wow. And it's cheap. Yeah. But to them, well, I'll give you an idea. In that Dunes area, last year at the same time, those lots were $60,000. They're in there for sale for $170 now. So in 1 year, they've gone up over $100,000. Yeah. But it's still not that expensive if you look at Salt Lake, Ogden, you know, these other areas. Yeah. And so people are still going down there thinking it's great. I wonder what, just because, I mean, on the I know there's a lot of trails, particularly the rock crawlers and stuff like that. I do, in my older age, I do way less that kind of stuff. It doesn't excite me like it used to. Right. I used to love the challenge of it. Then it just became more stressful, and then it became less of an interest of being
broken down in the middle of
Just
middle of the
gonna say
desert.
that. I was just going to say that.
How
It's
many
all
kids
about
do
one
you have with
thing.
you?
It's,
Yeah.
it's all about if I break down. If I do this, is it going to break?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, straight up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's where life has led me.
Mhm.
Now it's more of like I want to go out and explore. I do like the challenge, right? I do
Mhm.
like the intermittent challenge here and there and the fun little challenge, but yeah, Moab is full of challenges to nowhere. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Where Potato Salad Hill, I've never got it. Never
right?
got it. Never tried it.
Oh,
Watched plenty of people do it. Watched plenty of people, break their vehicles on it.
My favorite are the kids that take Dad's Rubicon up there and roll
Oh,
it.
Yep.
And you're like,
Why? Yeah, it's rough. There's another one too. I'm trying to remember what it is. Maybe it's not double whammy. It's up. Can't remember exact. I know. I'm trying to remember the tell. I think it's Metal Mashers might be where it is. But there's this one where it's just like it's these two very large steps. It's
Mhm.
been years since I've been there. It's been probably 15 years. And that's those steps. It's like you drive to the top and it's like quite the interesting obstacle, but it ends. If you kept going, you would drive off like 1,000-foot cliff and you'd die.
all right.
And you're like, okay, then what? And then some people actually turn around, like a 1,000,000-point turn or whatever, and they'll drive down it. And or you can back down it, I guess, if you really wanted to. But that stuff to me is weird.
Right.
It's not my jam. So I love and maybe it's just when you get older and you get kids and stuff like that, I like to enjoy nature with my family.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So that's when overlanding kind of became much more of a thing to me. I can think about it because it's like when I started my company, it was Jeep products. I have the first Jeep that started the company is like right there,
Yep.
right? Still sitting there. Hasn't been driven for a long time. But we started that and I was building that more for the trail running, for rock crawling and stuff like that. And that was more what my bumpers were designed around. And they still have design elements for that kind of use, right?
Mhm.
I know people are going to use it for that. People are going to want to do some serious rock crawling and things like that. So they're still designed to do that hard stuff. But for me, it's just more of like, I want to get out and explore. I want to be away from all the noise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing just to enjoy the silence that you get out there. So I do wonder a little bit down in that southern Utah area. I was born down there,
I
right?
didn't know
So yeah, that's where my roots kind of come from. I spent a lot of time down there. I was born in Panguitch, right?
Yeah.
One stoplight town. They took the stoplight out because there was not enough traffic. Now it's just a stop sign. So
Such a waste.
yeah. But yeah, Panguitch, we used to go a lot down to Lake Powell and explore those areas and stuff like that in the southern area because we were so close to everything.
Mhm.
It's actually really close to all the national parks and everything. But I was also, 2. So I really wonder what the overland scene will be. It is like down there. I haven't heard much about overlanding in St. George area
Right.
or in that area, but I got to imagine that there's probably all sorts of good exploration, good overlanding that can be had.
It's huge down there, and that's
So-
the thing. I don't know how many acres, but I know from where the reservoir and everything is, you can go out for miles and miles and miles. And you can also, if you want to go up into Coral Peak sand dunes, or if you want to go up, like I went up there, I took the Razor, my dad has Razor, and some of his buddies, we parked at the Pink Coral, sand
Pink Coral
dunes.
Sand Dunes, yeah.
And then we literally
Coral Pink.
went 20 miles, went back in there, crossed the Virgin River, back and forth, went up to Carmel and had lunch, and then came back.
Mm.
So, and I think it was like 20 miles, but you go all through the back country, go up, went, had lunch, and came back. So it's endless on stuff you guys can go do. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
San Rafael area.
Swell?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Swell's a
That's
little
good
further north.
Little overlanding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the Swell is very much an overlanding
Big
type
time.
trip. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And but yeah, it's a little further north, but still, the Swell it's legendary, right?
Mhm.
Everyone knows about the Swell. So I just wonder what there might be down by the Sand Hollow area, or at least starting from Sand Hollow. I bet you there's probably trails that go way off into. You'd probably go
Into Arizona.
Arizona,
Yep.
all the way down over to have your starting point somewhere in St. George and your ending point somewhere like Page,
Mhm.
and that would be some pretty amazing off-roading.
Yeah.
through that area. I have to wonder what there is. I bet there's stuff. I just have never really looked at it.
Right.
So
yeah, I haven't either. But yeah, I know there is everywhere.
I know who I'm going to ask about it right now.
Who?
I'm going to ask Kurt Williams. If anybody knows, it's got to be Kurt Williams. We're going to hopefully have him on the podcast soon.
Okay.
And you know who Kurt is, right?
I don't. That's what I was going to
You
ask.
don't know who Kurt is?
Who is Kurt?
Okay, there's a reason why. Remember when you
There's
said...
a reason why you don't know.
Remember when you said, like, I'm not a Toyota person?
Uh-huh.
This is why. Because Kurt is like the Toyota.
The Toyota
He's really like the Land Cruiser person. Right?
Ah.
When it comes to Land Cruiser, he's like a walking dictionary encyclopedia, thesaurus of Land Cruiser, everything. He knows every little nuance of Land Cruiser. So he's a cruiser person, but Toyota in general, right? That's where he has made his mark and stuff. So yeah, his company's Cruiser Outfitters.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You probably heard of Cruiser Outfitters,
aren't
right?
They're out of Denver, aren't they?
No,
Are they here?
They're in Salt Lake.
Salt Lake.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard of them. So
Yeah.
again, I'm just never been a
He's not a
Toyota guy.
Not a Toyota guy. It's all right. We can forgive you. It's
We
not
can
that
still be
it's not
friends.
that I am either. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, I own more Toyotas and have owned more Toyotas than I own tons of Toyotas. But at the same time, I have what I keep is Jeeps.
Right.
It's really weird to me. Like I've got 3 Jeeps right now that I'll probably just keep forever,
Mm-hmm.
or until I die and my kids can destroy them or auction them off or whatever. Right. So it's interesting to me because I do have that. We have 4 Jeeps right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have 3 Toyotas, but I'm going to sell 2 of them, you know?
Right.
So Toyota to me has just got legendary performance. I mean, they're amazing vehicles, but
They run forever.
Yeah, they run forever. Just,
I mean,
they're solid
they
vehicles.
are, but-
Yeah. But just then, for some reason, there's something just iconic that I love about Jeeps.
Yeah, you take the tops off and the doors off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Did you hear
sorry.
that,
I mean,
James?
we
You're
do
supposed
need
to
to
take
say
the top
this.
off, James.
That is it.
He never
Yeah.
wants to.
I do not want to take the top off like the Gladiator. I'm like, I don't want to do it.
Why?
I don't want the squeaky wind noise to come in. I don't want it to happen. I
Not
want to
cool.
leave it perfect.
Yeah,
That's the point of the Jeep. I'm with
this
you.
This is
It's to
a
take the
friendly podcast, so I won't have the comments I want to comment right now. No, but yeah, that's why I'm such a Jeep person, and that's one of the reasons that like back to the Bronco. I'm excited to see what the Bronco does.
Yeah.
But again, I'm a Jeep guy, but still, and Toyota. I've had Toyotas. I love Toyota. They last and run forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
It's nice to have it that way. I've met one person in my lifetime that was like not okay with Toyota. It
Mhm.
was weird. We
Yeah.
were at the top of Imogene Pass and just taking photos and just enjoying the splendor of the Colorado mountains, right? And this dude walks up to me and he's like, hey, can you take a picture of me and my Jeep? And we're like, yeah, sure. And he's like, I don't want any of these Toyotas. I mean, we were on a Toyota event, right? So there's FJs. It was FJ Summit. There's FJs all over. And I don't want any of these Toyotas in frame. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm not a Toyota person. I don't do Toyota. We don't do Toyota. We just do Jeep only. And I'm like,
okay.
all right.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and take your picture. Nice.
Just a minute. Let me focus right in your face because that's all there's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
was pretty
interesting.
intense. I found the one person that I've met that is that adamant about that. Usually, I mean, it's kind of interesting. There used to be this weird, particularly in the Land Cruiser crew, like FJ40s. I mean, I loved FJ40s, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you had this kind of attitude that was like, Jeep this, right? It was all about my FJ40 is the bomb and your Jeep suck, right? This is like 25 years ago, right? But it's funny when Jeep does something like comes out with the Gladiator, and it's what all these Toyota people were like, nah, it's okay, and they're like, it's just a copy of a Land Cruiser. It's like, no, it's not, man.
No, it's not.
It's not a copy of a Land Cruiser. Sorry,
No.
but it's funny to see a bunch of Jeep people and the JL, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
not the JL, the JK.
JK.
When the JK came out, you know what I mean? They put coil springs in. They have the Rubicon. They have 4-to-1 low range. I mean, they've got a long wheelbase 4-door. I mean, it was just like everybody was like everyone wanted a BJ70, right?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't get them. Now you can buy a BJ70 like a 1991
Right.
from overseas, and you can bring it here, but it's going to cost you as much as a JK is.
Right.
You know, a used JK Rubicon with 4-to-1 low range and all the parts that you
disconnect
need
and
to
all the
fix
stuff,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. That's the other thing. Like a friend of mine got was it FZJ? See, I don't get the lettering right, but he decided he was going to buy an import FJ80, okay, with a diesel motor that was right-hand drive. And he loved this thing, man. And it was, I'm just going to say it, dude, it is an ugly truck. It is absolutely, I mean, it's not that 80s are ugly, but this one had this awful color scheme. But what was cool about it, and it had like chrome brush guard and everything, but what was cool about it is it still had the original like stickers on the side, like original stickers from the factory that talked about the vehicle and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, it was really cool. It was just hideous. But dude, when he had motor problems, and they blew up, and that was it. I mean, it was just money after money after money. And so that's another thing about it is like, okay, so if I blow up a Jeep, I can get a new motor.
Just throw away the motor.
Just get a new one in, right? And then that's the thing, that the JK motor, that old motor, the 3.8, it was a minivan motor. It was kind of gutless, but I mean, they lasted pretty good.
They did.
You know, they lasted. And the new ones, the Pentastar, I know one person that's had an issue. His blew up. Brand new Gladiator. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Seth. Brand new Gladiator, and boom. Motor blew up,
but that could have been anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the
he got it
thing.
replaced.
Yeah,
they covered it. It was under warranty.
Mm-hmm.
They put in a new motor. And he's happy with it. And
yeah.
So yeah.
What do you think?
I love the power on the JLs and the Gladiators. It's
the 8-speed transmission is great.
Huge difference.
The transmission is the winner.
Literally,
So,
Jeep or Toyota?
Oh man, that's a tough one, because I think, on the mom side of me, the Toyotas are super convenient, and they have some of those.
Yeah, I've been able to drive the Gladiator I ordered in the last little while. I couldn't drive it at all before.
It's
now I
hard
get
for
to
the
drive
kids to climb into some of those. I will say at FJ Cruiser, when we had that, we had a rear-facing car seat. That jump door, you can freaking get the kid
it was
in
a
or out of
pain.
the car seat.
Yeah.
That was rough when you have the rear-facing.
Mm-hmm.
Forward-facing, not a problem. And when I go back and forth, the Jeep just rides different. It's a rougher ride, but it's a Jeep, and you know it because it's a Jeep, and they're so capable and amazing. So I like to have both. That's my answer. I'd like one of each because the Toyotas are so comfortable and nice for some things and super reliable, and you have all that. But the Jeeps, they're definitely fun.
Yeah.
And
when we
wheeling
say
a Jeep is a different experience.
we just lump Lexus in with Toyota.
Yeah, we kinda do.
right?
No, I agree.
Because
They're the same.
Yeah.
Infiniti, Nissan, whatever.
Yeah, like we're driving. We have the 460 that we're doing a lot. It's the Prado.
It's almost the
You know
same
it's a
as
Prado.
well, yeah. It looks just like the 4Runner to me on the inside too.
It's a
Like,
Land Cruiser
really
Prado,
similar.
and chassis are basically the same. I mean, they're kind of the same vehicle. So
How's that
Yeah,
market for
I
you
love
guys?
it.
Are people starting to? I mean, are you done building stuff and getting stuff ready for
it's
those
growing.
Lexuses?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, and we're behind actually, just with everything that's going on. We've been behind the GX. I've got a 470 behind me that we're getting built right now. We got to have that done very shortly. We've also been holding off on. There's a model year of the 460s, which was just weird. I don't know what Toyota was doing in these years or what changed, but it was like Toyota had 3 years there, which was I think 2010, 11, or was it 10, 11, 12, or 10 to 13, or somewhere in there. It was like they just didn't. They had an identity crisis almost. It was like they had, because normally Toyota doesn't do this. Normally Toyota does something and they kind of stick with it for a long time.
Yep.
And they did on this one. So it was with the 4Runner and with the Lexus GXs. I don't know, and it might have been also with the 570s, but I'm not sure what it was. But they went from a pretty comfortable design, something kind of classic Toyota, where they went all of a sudden very different. Like you saw the GXs have the year after the 14, they have that kind of weird kind of hourglass kind of shape on the front end.
Yep.
They did some interesting changes, so they kind of have those 3 years that like on the 4Runner, we don't do a bumper for those 3 years. We don't do a front bumper. We do a rear bumper. Our rear bumper does fit. We didn't design it around it, but it happened to fit, right? So that was good. So the rear of the vehicle's pretty similar. We were able to make them match up. The front is completely different on those Lexuses.
So is that current year too that you guys are dealing with too?
Yeah. So it covers what we have does cover the current model year.
Oh, good.
Completely front to back. It's just only the front bumpers that we're working on, and the older models, the 470s.
With your guys' Lexus clientele, are you seeing more of new product going out to these people because they're so expensive, or are you seeing people that have bought ones that are older that have some miles on them? What are you guys seeing?
It's mostly the people. It's people that have put miles on them or buying used ones. It's mostly that. I mean, I don't know that we've seen a lot of people that have either have new Lexuses or have bought new Lexuses, but you know, what's pretty amazing is that they don't keep their value quite the same as other Toyotas do.
No, not Land Cruiser. Like, and that was I was going to come up with. I was going to ask you about the Land Cruisers, the 80s, and the like. You have one outside and I'm not sure what year.
That's a 200 series.
Okay,
yeah.
Or current, and see, they're not bringing them into the States anymore. You know that?
Yeah. No, I've heard the price jumped as soon as they announced that they were not going to be doing a 300 series Land Cruiser. Just the price jumped and stayed up.
Do you do stuff with those?
We haven't yet. The reason why is because they only were importing 1,200 into the U.S. market per year.
Oh, wow.
So it's not a lot. And then the people that were buying them weren't really buying them for off-roading, even though they are extremely capable, well built. I mean, they're amazing machines. Most people aren't buying them for that, right?
My favorite's 80. I love the older one.
Oh yeah, love the 80.
And I'd love to take it out, get rid of that motor, and put a real motor in. But you can fit 37s on them with a small lift, and because the Lexus has an 82, but I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
But again, that was my favorite one of all the Land Cruisers. I loved that year.
Yeah, I did too. It was probably my favorite too. All bubbly and.
What is that? 84, 85?
No, the 80 series was 90. I think 92, 91. Yeah, it started in 91 and went to I think 97.
That's right. That is. I think you're right.
That's what it was.
I love that. Those are awesome.
And they did a 40th anniversary edition, I think, or maybe it was 60th anniversary edition. I can't. No. I'm getting my Jeep and my Okay, I'm getting mixed up between Jeep and okay. It was the 40th anniversary edition Land Cruiser, which was they were really cool. I gotta wonder. Like, I want to have. I'm gonna see if I can get him on here, but I'd like to get Greg Miller on here because I mean I just want to know what went through his head to build the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum. You know what I mean? Like, what was it that made him go?
He's always been a cruiser guy.
He's a huge cruiser guy.
Huge cruiser guy.
Yeah. But it's just, I mean, that building's big. He's got a lot of cruisers in there, man. And it's funny to think about it because I'm like, do you think if you went to Japan, there would be anything like that?
Probably not.
I mean, I bet he has more Land Cruisers than Toyota has.
Probably.
Like, of a varying thing. You would think Toyota would have all those in, some, air-controlled hangar somewhere, right? Some secret place. But I bet he has more than they do.
Probably.
So I'll have to see if I can get him on. But, well, that was a good chat. Should we keep chatting?
Whatever.
How long have we been doing this for?
Like an hour.
We've been going for an hour? That's pretty good. Normally we only go a half hour, right? But we're having a good chat.
A lot to talk about.
Yeah,
Well,
we have a lot of good things to talk about.
You can always edit it, change it out, figure it out.
We'll probably just do like we'll do a full episode and then
I think
do some segments, right?
I just think it's important that people know what's going on, and not just in your industry, but everything. And I think everybody's dealing with the same stuff right now.
Yeah.
Whether it be new vehicles or whether it be shortage in houses or shortage in steel. I mean, I think people are just like, what's next? I think that's really what's people are wanting to see. And I think you doing this podcast, I think it's great. I think, that first episode you guys did was great. And I think you're just going to keep going with it because we just need to know what's going on with life.
Yeah.
Because it really is going to be crazy for the next couple of years.
It is. It's going to be very crazy.
And so, and I don't want things to change, but it will.
Yeah.
It will.
When you say change,
I think the economy is going to drop a little bit. I think
in the coming years?
I think we're in a bubble, a pretty heavy
No,
bubble.
we are definitely in a bubble.
But I don't think it's going to crash like it did in 07-ish.
That was 07 was wild.
Way wild. And the difference is, in my industry is you actually have to qualify for houses where in 07, if you breathed, you could get a loan.
Yeah.
you actually have to qualify now. So I think that's really going to help out at least my market. One of the things that scares me is the auto industry. I've been around that all my life because of my father. So I know more than most on that. I don't say, but the way they're lending on cars right now, 84, 100, 108 months on cars, on autos now.
Are they really?
Oh, yeah.
108?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
I heard that. I heard now car. I know they're doing 84.
Yeah, 84 is pretty long.
But I heard somebody did 108, and I don't know if that's right or not. But 84 months on a car.
Yeah.
When it's a new car, you go off the lot, you already lost 10 grand minimum.
Yeah.
And so then what happens? So I think the auto industry is going to have a huge correction on their loans. Personally, I don't know. Again, I'm just guessing on that, but 60 months, 72 months. Now they're going 84 months. If they go 96 months, I mean, you go 96 months or more, that's usually a RV or something.
Yeah.
Which is, that's normal. You see that, but.
Well, we were talking about the TRX, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and here's the thing. This vehicle gets 8 to 12 miles to the gallon.
If
you know
you're
what I mean?
if you're
lucky. You know what I mean? I mean, it looks amazing, and it's very purpose built, but it's amazing. It's like they're hard to get. They're going to be hard to get for a while. Yeah. And the prices are so high on them, right? But even before that was happening, the TRX is just kind of, in almost a sense, it's an anomaly. Before that, you had
Raptor.
Well, the Raptor, but I mean this Denali behind me.
Oh yeah,
right. That thing, $82,000. Right. Ford has some trucks that are $100,000.
Well, the new Grand Wagoneer that's coming out from Jeep is $100,000.
Yeah,
the loaded one's $100,000+.
See, and this is I think what ties into the finance component of it, which is very.
How do you afford it?
Yeah. Well, how do you afford it? Well, how does somebody afford it? Well, they get 100 and how many months do you say? 108 months?
I don't know if they're getting 100, but 86. I mean, some of those.
Well,
are guessing, but still,
even if we're saying 96 month loan on a car.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to keep it that long?
No.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's weird to me because it's like maybe I worry about the ownership part of it, right? Mm-hmm. Is ownership just kind of going to leave our peripheral completely? You know what I mean? That desire to actually own your own vehicle or own your own house, or is it just going to be like we're pretend renting for a while?
Well, I know a lot of stuff's changing for like my wife's industry, for what she does, and with all these electric cars and self-driving cars that are coming out. They really think that that's going to take away a lot of stuff, and I don't know the year on this. So I'm going to guess on this, but California passed that law that they're not going to sell any more gas engines after, I don't know the year. I think it was like 2034. No more gas engines sold there.
Yeah. No, that's what they're saying.
And I don't know the year, but I'm just, I heard something like that.
And GM basically said, we're not going to produce any gas engines at this state.
Yeah.
Which I kind of find bizarre, personally.
Well, what I have a hard time with is then we turn into the batteries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do we dispose of them?
Yeah. And do we, because I mean, I know they can recycle some of them, but I don't know enough about that process.
Yeah. And it's
like,
interesting.
How does it work? Is it a good process? Like
it's interesting.
I just don't, there's a lot of stuff that I find kind of, I'm like, I don't know if that's the best route with that. I mean, think about this, just in the off-road industry. I mean, okay, so right now you're going out in the middle of nowhere, you just take a jerry can, right? You take a couple cans with you to, get you from A to Z if you run out of gas, right? You're not going to like whip out a solar panel and charge a car.
No, you have to bring out a generator and start it up. And
so you're back to it. Yeah. So that's what's weird to me is I just don't, the infrastructure and just the infrastructure that will be required. I mean, right now you go to a gas station, you're there for 5 minutes, fill up your tank, and then you're out. There's got to be a lot of infrastructure. If everything goes electric, you've got your home that, great. Now you can charge from your home. That's actually it's pretty successful if you're just charging at your house, right? And you're commuting daily, right? But what happens when you're driving 1,000 miles?
They're building, Tesla is actually building charging stations all across the country. They just finished one in the Smith's parking lot of 123rd.
Did they really?
And they're doing that all over. They're trying to find places and they're paying people to do these charging stations. But then what's hard about that is those are Tesla.
Right.
Right.
Tesla won't let the way
they've got their
the way
stuff
they've
set
got
up.
their set up, you can only charge Teslas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
that's
so-
going to be, my bet is that becomes something where the government, some sort of
There's
you
got to
know,
be, yeah. I don't know, but right
some
now
sort of
that's what it is.
legislation occurs, something universal happens, and
Mhm.
then everyone starts using the same plug.
And everybody does
becomes
except for
one of those.
Tesla, from what I understand. I
Really?
don't know. Yeah, but I don't know that.
Tesla's just the holdout for now.
Of course.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
So back to the expensive cars. I mean, everything's that expensive now. I
Yeah.
mean, it's crazy. You know, Escalade, 110, 120,000. the new
Are they
ones.
really?
Mhm.
You would know that because you're.
No, I have a Denali. I don't
You
have
have
it. But again, those are gone up. Those went up, I think, 7,000 from when I bought mine.
Really?
Mine's a 19 because they changed new body style, independent rear suspension. They changed a lot of stuff on the new ones, and they're great. But again, everything just keeps going up.
Wow.
You know.
Mm.
So we'll just see.
We'll see how it goes.
And the problem is, how can you afford these?
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Well, and there's got to be. I just don't. There's got to be some sort of a correction. Like you kind of said that market corrections are just a part of life,
Mhm.
right? And bubbles are bubbles, right? Whether it's the housing market or whether it's any other market, bubbles just happen,
Yep.
right? And then there's corrections, and then kind of things settle down, and then they relax. But it's very interesting because we've had such a steady growth rate for so long. There's so much money being pumped into the economy, and COVID has caused everything to be so strange. So it's a matter of what's going to happen.
Right.
How's it all going to come in together? So particularly when COVID ends, right? If we reach an end to it, or if it just fizzles on for years and years, which it could.
It's a flu. I mean,
You know?
they've said it's a flu. So, I mean, it's going to be every year COVID shot, just like a flu shot, I'm sure. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. I kind of hope not, but
Yeah.
we'll see. COVID, I mean, I don't think it's going to be as bad as how the flu was, right?
Mhm.
The flu, and another thing I think they'll just put COVID in the flu shots. I think that's what it'll be. It'll just be
One shot for everything.
one shot for everything. And, the people that need to get it should get it, right? The people
Mhm.
that are at high risk and everything like that. you
Yeah.
know? So, because, yeah, it'll wipe you out, man, which is the rough reality, But anyway, okay, that was a nice little, we hit a lull. Well, Tyler, thanks for coming on.
No, it's great. Thanks
It's
for
been like
having
an
me.
hour. This is our longest show so far.
Oh, good. No.
We've only done 2 shows.
Hey, I'm in.
Right?
I'll
You
come
have the
back whenever you
record.
want
Yeah.
because, I appreciate it. And you guys, again, good friends. And I appreciate the opportunity. And you guys do a great business. And it's appreciated, at least on my half. I appreciate you guys a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What are we gonna build for SEMA? You gonna get involved or?
Probably. I don't know. I've been debating on a Jeep.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think a Bronco will be out by then, ready to go.
Probably not for you to grab.
Right.
But-
I mean, I have connections, but again, how quick could we build something and fabricate it and all that stuff? Because everything's last minute, and we know that. We get
Yeah.
them here, and we're waiting for this and that. So I don't know. Maybe build another Jeep. Or
Okay.
we'll do a Wrangler, or we'll do a Gladiator.
I think you need to get yourself a Gladiator.
But I need a real truck.
It's a truck. It has a bed.
Yes, but
Well-
my Denali
Wow.
pulls the Razor better than a Gladiator would.
Well, okay, maybe. We don't know that for sure. Have you tried that?
Let's see.
Dude, I'm running 38s on my Gladiator. 38s, dude, and I've got power.
I have a 6.2 liter in my Denali.
Okay.
So I have 450 horses in that
Okay.
thing. So yeah, I can,
Yeah, sure. But
10-speed
you know.
transmission,
okay.
and I'm still getting 17 miles a gallon.
Okay.
That's
But so
pretty
are
good.
you talking about you would replace your Denali?
No, I would probably replace Denali and get something. I have to have a nice car for what I do.
Right.
So I just get something smaller with better gas mileage. But that's why I'm looking at a truck. I'll still have a Jeep or something, but
Then why not get a Gladiator? It's like 2 feet longer than a JL.
it won't fit in my third car garage.
I don't know that I believe that.
I do because the old owner had one and he wouldn't fit. He tried for me.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I bought a new house, so I'm not in Draper
What
anymore.
kind of
So
third car garage is
I
that?
know.
If you
That's-
saw the house, you'd see because the previous owners,
Yeah.
it had a really long RV garage, and they made the front room bigger. So it really is cool. And so they made it smaller to extend the house, which it's okay. It's pretty
But
cool.
what are we going to fit in there, dude?
A Wrangler will fit.
A Wrangler?
My Razor fits.
Okay.
So.
Well.
See, and Razor prices are nuts too. And we could go all day off.
Yeah.
that
That's a
stuff,
whole
too.
nother podcast.
We're
is.
not. That is a whole.
But I'm
nother-
just saying.
I
I mean,
don't
it just goes
understand.
there.
Yeah.
That whole thing is.
It's crazy.
We'll talk about that one day if you guys want. But that's. I got into that, and I'm into that thing as much as the Jeep.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, we'll
believe
have
it.
to have a chat on that
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I quite understand that whole craze.
I'm still learning.
Are you?
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
We've seen some weird stuff.
We've seen some stuff that makes me wonder.
But the pricing is just. I mean, I couldn't.
No, people are spending $30,000 just to get the.
It was
You know?
$32,900 for the first machine,
Yeah.
and then the day you buy it, if you're gonna do any sort of rock crawling, whatever, you're adding another $10,000 before you put 35s on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll have to
why
tell me
don't
why
buy
you did
a
that
Jeep?
instead of a Jeep.
Well, trust me, it was. We can talk about that offline if you want, because that's a whole other. Because I have friends that have Razors, and none of my Jeep friends go out anymore, and so I have a bunch of guys I mountain bike with and all that stuff, and they all have Razors.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something, so I could just still go out and have some fun.
You need to find some more friends.
You need more Jeep.
I don't have time.
You need
So-
to convert your Razor
We'll have
friends.
to. Yeah. You got to get
That's
them on
it.
the right path.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
it's fun.
I'm sure it is.
It's
Yeah.
fun.
The speed. It's their speed.
And they crawl really well.
Do they?
Mm-hmm. I had mine. I mean, you know me. I never keep anything stock. So,
Yeah.
although what I don't like is that there's no clearance on it. I'm a rock crawler, so when I do things, when I go things, I hit certain lines. That just you do that, and on this it doesn't sit. I'm scraping belly. I'm doing, and so I'm get frustrated because I'm not used to how it is. So I'm actually changing it and putting 35s on mine just so I have a little more clearance.
Really?
Crazy.
Yeah. That's probably what I'd end up having to do.
I'd like to put 37s on, but
That's-
that's a lot more money.
Is it?
A lot. I mean,
Really?
it literally goes. It's cheaper to do a full Terraflex, most expensive Terraflex lift on a Jeep.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to do that than it will be to do a Razor
Mm.
with shocks.
That's why I'll just stick
with
with Jeeps.
Jeeps.
Yeah. Apparently that's what's happening. Okay.
So, anyways, again, thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks for being on.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
It's a good show. We'll grab you again. See if we can get Clay on.
Yeah, let
Be
me know,
fun.
and
Yeah.
we'll do that. No problem.
We'll have all four of us here at the table and have a nice conversation.
Perfect.
It'll be awesome.
'Kay.
Cool. Thanks for being on, Tyler.
No problem.
Thanks for
Thank you
watching,
very much.
everybody, or
Thank you.
listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.